Hello, St. Paul's. It's almost a year since the pandemic became the dominant force in our lives and we were forced to close the doors of the cathedral. In these 12 months, we have discovered new depths of adaptability and resilience. We've created new ways to be a community and to support one another. We have lived into the reality that the church is not a building, but a group of people called to pray, celebrate, grieve, and work together for the kingdom of God. I suspect that you've had moments, as I have, of wondering if we will ever get to be together again, if we will ever get to sing in a group, receive communion, greet each other at the peace, and enjoy those glorious acoustics. I want to assure you that we will, and I'm confident that the worst is behind us. Most of our over 65s have now received at least a first vaccination, and the case numbers are slowing down. We're actively preparing for our gradual return to in-person worship, while, of course, planning to continue offering online options for those who are not able or willing to return to the cathedral campus. Back in April, the bishop asked all clergy of the diocese to create regathering task forces in our parishes. She provided us with a checklist of safety precautions that would accompany any in-person worship, and she issued guidelines that conformed with the county's restrictions. We've been conscientious about following her lead, and even when the state Supreme Court decreed that a ban on indoor worship was not enforceable, Bishop Susan maintained her position that Episcopal congregations would not hold indoor events until the science indicated that it was safe. Our regathering task force consists of staff, medical professionals, and safety personnel. We meet every other week to check in on new developments and consider whether we should adjust our operations. It's been a story of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. As you know, in October we started holding a short outdoor prayer service on Thursday evenings in Beth Israel Park. We had a plan to introduce communion at that service, but then the case numbers exploded and restrictions were tightened. Now we're back to thinking about that outdoor service again, and we hope to resume as the spring weather improves and the days lengthen. But with the additional planning and programming for Lent, our staff hasn't yet found the bandwidth to resume the services. We have several sets of plans awaiting the right time for implementation, both macro and micro, and all plans assume that everyone is masked and socially distanced and that gloves will be used by leaders. For all in-person events, there will be a checkpoint before entering the facility, where we will take temperatures and ask a couple of questions about your health. When we start offering communion, we'll use a gadget that's come to be known as the giant Pez dispenser. It holds about 50 wafers, which can be dispensed one at a time, untouched by human hand. The presider will bless the wafers in the dispenser and also bless a very small amount of wine. When it's time to administer communion, the wafers will be dispensed into individual disposable cups on a tray. The tray will be either placed where people can come up to take a cup, or a Eucharistic minister will walk around and offer the tray at arm's length. A single representative of the congregation will consume the wine. When we're permitted to hold indoor services, we will reintroduce the 10:30 choral service with caution. It's possible that we may ask for reservations. There'll be a strict limit on the number of attendees and a 30-minute limit on gathering in a single space. So we'll start the service in the Great Hall, watching the pre-recorded morning prayer service on the big screen through the sermon. Then we'll move to the cathedral for the Nicene Creed, the prayers and communion, which will follow the procedure I just outlined. This part of the service will be live streamed. As restrictions ease, we'll be able to reintroduce the choir, hold the entire service in the nave, and eventually receive communion in both kinds. At this early stage, all other offerings will still be online only. The next in-person service to be reintroduced will probably be the Spanish language service, using similar procedures for communion. My hope is that by the end of 2021, we'll be able to return to a full schedule of Sunday activities, roughly following this schedule. The 8 a.m. service will continue to be a morning prayer service with sermon on Zoom. The 9 a.m. adult forum will be an in-person event with a live stream that allows remote viewers to participate. The 10:30 a.m. service will be a live-streamed full choral Eucharist service. We'll have a Zoom coffee hour for those who have watched remotely. The 1 o'clock Spanish service will be in person with a live stream. And 5 o'clock Evensong will return to the way it was before the pandemic, in person and live streamed. You'll notice that the focus is on worship and Sunday events. We'll plan for the reintroduction of other groups and activities in coordination with the leaders of those ministries. Someone recently asked me if we were still asking over 65s to think twice before attending worship in person. With the vaccine now being widely distributed, we can focus less on age and more on inviting you to pay attention to your own health and possible underlying conditions. Remember that the vaccine doesn't reach full effectiveness until about 3 weeks after the second dose, and that it's not 100% effective at preventing infection, so precautions will still be important. The task force is also considering ways to make the cathedral environment as clean and safe as possible. We've invested in cleaning equipment that will make it easy to sanitize the nave, the bathrooms, and all the spaces we use. And Martin Green and Bob Osley are researching ways to improve ventilation. I wish I could give you a timeline for all these steps, but it all depends on the progress of the pandemic and the recommendations of the government, as well as our overriding desire to protect all of our cathedral family. Finally, some good news. I'm delighted to share with you that our bishop has expressed a desire to offer baptism and confirmation for the Easter Vigil. This will be filmed outdoors in advance of the Vigil itself, probably on March 27th, and the Great Vigil service as a whole will be pre-recorded and broadcast on Easter Eve as usual. Please contact me or Jeff or Brooks if you'd like more information about being baptized, confirmed, received, or reaffirmed. Don't forget to stop by the cathedral this Saturday morning to pick up your ashes. See you on Sunday.